All right, good morning. How are we all doing today? Welcome back. Dan and I were already talking about it. 3 years ago, we were in Columbus, Ohio, and then in 2020, we were at Modex right before the world shut down in Atlanta. So 2 years ago, Modex, and then finally we got Modex this year, and we got Work, which is back. So how many people have been to Work conference before? How many first time? Oh, wow. Very cool. Well, welcome. As a former past president of the Work National Board, I hope you guys really enjoy the conference. This has been near and dear to my heart since the late 90s. In fact, I'll even tell a funnier story. When I was in college, I actually got a Work scholarship, and that's where my first exposure to CLM, Warehouse Education Research Council, Chicago Traffic Club. I got 3 scholarships my junior to senior year, and then I started coming back and forth from school, and that's how I networked and got my first job. So, show of hands, how many people have a warehouse management system in place today? Okay. How many people are about to put a warehouse management system in? Okay. And then I think this will be an interesting dynamic. The story that Shane and I are about to tell you is the bad and the ugly made good versus everybody talks about this wonderful, we kick off the project, everything's rosy, and we go live and everything's spectacular. But I was very blessed that Shane found Alpine, said, hey, I'm in a pickle, need a little help. Can you help us out? I think somebody's trying to get in that door, if you want to see there. Okay, so I want to congratulate Shane. This morning, the press release went out. So Shane, when I met him, was not the COO, so he's been promoted to COO. Hopefully the successful project helped in that regard. But we're going to talk about HJI spurring stability and growth through WMS implementation and rollout to multiple sites during COVID, and unbelievable growth within their operation. So Shane's the COO at HJI Supplies. I am Michael Wolin, Managing Principal at Alpine Supply Chain Solutions. What we're going to talk about is who is HJI Supply Chain Solutions. Always good to understand, like, the world that Shane lives in, and then what challenges they face. So, okay, great, we did this project. What were we trying to solve? What was the approach you took? What were the results? And more importantly, what are the next steps? So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Shane. He's going to turn his mic on. I'm going to turn mine off as we are recording.
There you go, buddy. Thanks, Michael. Good morning, everybody. My name is Shane Allgaier, like Michael said. We'll talk a little bit about HJI Supply Chain Solutions, which is who I work for, and is actually a fun conversation for me. Some people, wherever you work, you kind of like it, you don't like it. I absolutely love where I work. We are a family-owned business, and if any of you are from Louisville, Kentucky, anybody from here? Or if you're sports fans, you'll know our co-founders are Alice and Wade Houston. So they have quite a bit of history there with the community and, of course, with athletics. We were established in 1994. We're headquartered here in Louisville, Kentucky, but we have 500-plus team members across 2 states, Kentucky and Tennessee, with over 1 million square feet. We're a single source provider of manufacturing, 3P&L, and supply chain solutions. And now my clicker is going to take a second.
It must be those awesome graphics.
It is. It's what it always is. So we break up our services into 4 categories. So we offer order fulfillment, which is your contract packaging, e-commerce fulfillment, aftermarket fulfillment. Supply chain management, so we'll partner with you, we'll come up with a supply chain strategy. We do distribution and warehouse management. Transportation, we'll manage the transportation solutions for you, and continuous improvement. The third is value-added warehousing, which actually where we got our start with Ford Motor Company, automotive sequencing and line-side presentation, assembly and sub-assembly, container management, and contract warehousing. Last is manufacturing services. We do stamping, high-tech robotic welding, and plastic injection molding. So with those services, who do we serve? We serve the automotive industry. We do quite a bit with Ford, some with Toyota and GM, consumer goods, healthcare and medical, Humana, food and beverage. We do a lot through here, especially if you're through Kentucky with bourbon, Brown and Forman, Angel's Envy, Michter's. We do retail and, of course, some manufacturing. How do we take these services that we provide and provide them to these industries? We do it through three things: speed, flexibility, and accuracy. Why is that important? Because I guarantee everybody in this room hears the same message from their customers. They want it faster and they want optimal throughput. The only way to achieve that is through speed, accuracy, and flexibility. Let's see if my slides are working. All right, so to close this out, to understand HJI, you need to understand our purpose. Our purpose is to enrich the lives of our people, our community, and provide peace of mind to our customers. And through our niche, it allows us to build relationships with our customers because we provide a collaborative environment with our customer to work towards solutions once we understand what their challenges are through active listening. So what we're here for is we decided that we needed a WMS system to make us stronger, to make us more efficient, to be able to actually be flexible, accurate, and operate with speed. To do that, we went on a little journey, and we kind of went across the eastern seaboard here and looked at many different warehouse management systems, and we decided on one. So we selected one. Well, once we selected that, we started to do our implementation. And of course, any implementation has challenges. If the ones who are getting ready to put on WMS systems, you're going to have some challenges. So you need to have a great partner to help you kind of get through those. One of the main challenges were we had developed, of course, like everyone else, I'm sure you all have, an ROI that we were expecting. You know, what time were we going to be done? What kind of efficiencies is this going to provide? How is this going to help our customers? What are we selling? So we weren't hitting that. And I think one of the main reasons were the vendor that we purchased the system through was purchased themselves in the middle of our integration. So now that created communication issues. As we're going through communication issues, are we with the integration team? Are we with the support team? Who's helping us identify these issues and who's helping us to identify the solutions? And we had a gap there. We were kind of struggling to get things rolling. Well, right when we're in the middle of this WMS, we reach out. We do a little research, and probably did a little in-depth research with Michael and his team, but it ended up to be the right fit. So their team comes in. As they come in, I'm sure they had wide eyes because we were in manual processes with this system. We were using the system, but we were paper picking, which if you invest in a system, that's the last thing you want to do. So we were still paper picking, which led to slower processes. More work needed to be done to verify the inventory. So we didn't have any stability. We couldn't roll it out like we wanted to our Tennessee warehouses because we couldn't even stabilize the test environment. So we needed the test facility to be successful prior to launching it. Believe it or not, we're in the middle of COVID and we have a 200% growth rate. So we did stuff for Humana, which you can imagine how bad they needed masks, hand sanitizer, gowns, all those things that we need were just blowing us up. So now we've got the integration that we're trying to deal with. We're growing at a rapid rate, and now we're out of facility room. And we're still getting requests. We have a very good reputation, so our customers know we're going to step up and deliver. Well, we're running out of space to deliver. So we end up moving, and I'm sure, I don't know how many people have moved from one facility to another as you're operating. It's very, very difficult. So we're challenging with integration, the growth rate, and now we're moving from 140,000 square foot facility to 350. Now this is how we look currently today. We have 2 automotive sites in Kentucky, 1 headquarters, the main 3P&L DC that I'm talking about. Shepherdsville, we have an automotive facility. Memphis, we have 2, 1 automotive and 1 3P&L. And of course, like I said, we were going through COVID at the time. Pass it back to Mike and let him tell us the winning approach.
All right. So we were talking
was basically we re-engaged Corber. So it was High Jump. Then they got bought by Corber, so we had to re-engage that services team. They had purchased the software from a Corber or a Warehouse Advantage reseller. Their services were a little bit lacking, and they were very excited that we were involved. They were a little nervous at first, like, hey, what are you guys gonna do? What do you need from us? And we put a plan in place. We re-engaged them. And then the first thing is standard operating procedures and acceptance test. And the big thing was get the inventory reconciliation between the NetSuite and the Corber WMS jiving, okay? We also wanted to make sure that we were meeting their needs. So, hey, let's just start with basic. Receive, store, pick, pack, ship. Let's get that. Let's make sure it's bulletproof. Michael, I'm not rolling this out until it is up and running and stable in 90 days in my building. It was going down every day, or there was an inventory discrepancy or an inventory issue every day. So once we actually got that, then we said, great, now we've got all the standard operating procedures, we got the test scripts, we were turning on functionality, we were working out the kinks, we had the tickets, we were resolving tickets every week, adding new ones, getting it through. Finally, we hit stable state, and then we were able to start turning on additional functionality. And again, the value-added services portion was large, replenishment, direct and put away, and then we were able to roll it out to the other sites. So the big thing was just really understanding, like, you know, what you should do versus what wasn't done. So we took a little bit of a step backwards against their better wishes and chagrin, but we actually put the right standard operating procedures in place, developed acceptance test plan, started rolling out small little bite-sized chunks to make sure that we had a stable system, because he still needed to ship thousands of orders a day. You can't take them down to their knees, right? So it was, what does they say? Building a plane at 30,000 feet, right? We were moving and grooving. I hope that I turned my microphone on. I didn't. Hopefully they'll be able to hear me. All right, so that's kind of our approach, and then let's talk a little bit about the benefit and the results. Turn your mic on just in case.
Yeah, mine. So maybe they caught mine. All right, so this is the part where you're probably going to have some questions, stuff like that, so I'll look forward to those at the end, but this is where we start talking about what happened, what was the result of our collaboration and working together. The first step was, and I think probably the most important step was, stabilize who we're working with. We get away from the implementation team, we start working with support team, people who can start to help us identify issues and actually roll those issues into solutions versus constantly just sending out emails and communication that doesn't kind of falling into an abyss. Second was, through the SOPs and the training structure, we were able to bring in, brought in my engineering team, the quality team, the inventory team, along with the ops team, and start to develop a knowledge base of the system and understand we can work off of each other and start to migrate that towards Memphis. So then we end up sending it down to the 2 warehouses in Memphis after we stabilize. And we had plenty of knowledge base for people to handle our own issues without having to go to the support team unless it was something that was system related. But the normal utilization of the processes we were able to do thanks to the assistance from Alpine. When we did that, it improved space utilization because the process streamlined our picking processes. We were able to lay it out a lot better, streamline the aisles, and make sure that we were using every square foot the best way we knew how. And of course, that increased workforce performance. And anybody who's in logistics understands the last piece is once you establish your receiving process and it's foolproof and you receive everything in properly, then your inventory is solid and every other process rolls through. Your put away goes smooth, your picking goes well, and ultimately the most important thing to the customer, the shipping's efficient and fast. And that was our overall goal, what we were trying to accomplish. What's the benefits? Well, now we have a fully functioning WMS application that has ample support, strong receiving process that's proven, overall shipping performance that keeps us being able to ship anything out within 24 to 48 hours. And the best piece that helped us, because I think Mike alluded to, is we do a lot of kitting and some assembly. It has a module in it that allows us to track our kitting process much better. Most of the time, people track their kitting by how many did you make and send out. Well, there's always a BOM that is put together to how you assemble the parts and all the parts that go into it. Well, if you run out of one of those parts, you cannot make that kit. So this system allows us to program the BOM into the system and allows us to track the inventory so that if we're short or coming up short, it lets us know, hey, you need to reorder this to make sure you can continue your production for the next day or the next week or whatever that case may be. Standardized processes, like Mike alluded to, was not only instrumental in us being able to up and running and being able to expand, but more importantly, it helped us to eliminate onboarding and retain our people, because as you all know, if you bring people in and you don't have a good process to train them with, they're not fully trained, they're frustrated, they're not happy with what they're doing, and then if they go out there and the system keeps going down or their scan guns aren't working or whatever the case may be, people tend to go, you know what, I don't have time for this, I'm going to move on. But with our culture, we were able to retain those people and work through this and strengthen our family, which eliminated that.
And Shane, you might remember on the very first visit, I say you usually only have one chance to earn the hearts and the minds of the team, and you've already lost that with some of them because every day the system goes down, they roll their eyes. So we also had a change management issue with the team on the floor to get them to really embrace the system.
True, and part of that is presenting a successful and being accurate, which is anything that you go out. Whatever you say, you have to do. So we had to make sure we had the right partner. So when we took a stance and said, it's going to work and this is the process that's going to lead you to success, we had to deliver. And we did as a team. Lessons learned. So for those who are getting ready to get out there and venture into your new WMS system, number one, and I agree with this, support services, you need to get to the support service. So your integration part is usually 30 days, 60 days. They have a nice checklist and everything for you to go through. You need to get through that process to make sure all the systems and everything's linked in order to get to the support team to start really proving the SOPs and the processes and making sure the system's doing what you require it to do.
Hey Shane, let me just add a little color. So typically when you buy a warehouse management system, the services will come from that WMS vendor, and they will come out, they'll develop a functional design spec, a technical design spec, you'll sign off on it, they'll configure the WMS, they will configure the integration, then it's up to you to test it, make sure it goes live, and they'll be there for go live support. Then usually like a week or 2 weeks after go live support, you get transitioned to support services where they're not a project, but they'll open tickets, resolve tickets. They've got a knowledge base sitting there 24/7 answering requests and those types of things. So when he says move to support services, that's what we're really talking to, post go live.
And that's utopia, that's what's supposed to happen, which did not happen. So that's why we brought in Alpine. But yes, that's correct. That's something you're looking to. You need to really focus on that and make sure that's happening. Communication, expand knowledge base, I think that was huge. Being able to make sure our management teams and our support functions, quality, inventory, engineering, were all fully integrated in the system and understood how it worked, how it should work, and how to troubleshoot.
And let me add something else there. So I think that was the biggest thing. So we came in to Louisville, and you brought your leaders from each site, and we had IT, ops, and engineering. It's a three-legged stool in every install you do, right? You're gonna need subject matter experts, the receiving, the put away, the picking, the replenishment. But before you get to that next level, right, this was I commended you. You pulled the whole team together, everybody came around, we got all on the same page, and we wrote a prescription for success. So hats off to you, because you did make the right investment. I see so many companies are like, well, I don't have a lot of resources and I got so busy that they try and put all the weight on the WMS vendor. Well, the WMS vendor is only going to do the functional and the technical. You as a team need to make sure the design document's good. You as the team need to take ownership on the standard operating procedures. Is the system operating like I wanted it to? You and your team need to educate the end users. Keep it simple, stupid, right? We like the KISS methodology, so that way it's temp proof. I can bring a temp in, show them the 5 things they need to do, and they can be successful on the day that they come into my building. So you brought the right team and the knowledge base to ensure that we had a nice, successful re-implementation.
And part of that is just surrounding yourself with smarter people. So if you're the smartest person in the room, you don't have the right people in the room. So bring them in there, make sure you're covered. Customer visibility, I don't know about you guys, but we get more and more and more hey, I want to be able to see my inventory. I want to be able to see it an hour on the hour. I want to know what I have, because all customers have always wanted to know what they have in the building. That's the point of the WMS system. But they also want to know that so they know what to sell or what they have available to sell. So we have started to integrate our system into other spin-offs to give them that visibility. And back to Michael's point was the key team members that we brought in. So our whole culture is about collaboration. So it was easy to kind of reach out and grab everyone and bring everybody in and say, hey, look, everybody has ownership in this stake. Now it's time to work together to get to the solution of the WMS system.
And a little story here, I don't think having Conrad sitting outside the conference room hurt.
Yeah, Conrad is our president. So he's very innovative.
It wasn't that he participated in the meeting, but the fact that he was there, everybody knew that he was aware of the meeting and the importance of this. So yes. That even goes to the upper level, having executive buy-in and commitment and visibility. And they don't necessarily need to be involved in their nails dirty, but it helps reinforce how important this is to the organization.
Agreed. With that, what's next? So what's the next steps for HJI? And right now we're already in the second quarter, so we've already hit the ground running from an automation standpoint. We try to be one of the most innovative leaders in the industry. So we're working with AMRs, trying to automate our turret trucks, automate our fork trucks to kind of link those into our system so they know what to pick and how to do it, and it reduces labor. Along with rack management, so our aisles, we're streamlining our aisles going up higher, which gives us more square footage to utilize, so we're not blowing out facilities and having to jump into another facility, because I'm sure we all know prices are going up, so you want to utilize your facility the best you know how.
So Shane, you just literally just teased everybody in the room. So talk a little bit about this autonomous vehicle. It's pretty cool.
So I don't give away all my secrets.
Well, I mean, they're here to learn, right? I mean, it's being able to.
I don't know if some of you guys probably go to Modex or ProMat and you see all the different things. So we've done a really deep dive with our engineering team, systems engineers, and kind of traveled a little bit and learned that we have turret trucks. If those who don't know, turret trucks are things that can go better than forklifts in the sense of height. They can go higher, and they can go into a 6-foot aisle versus your traditional 12-foot, 15-foot aisle that you got to take up space with a regular forklift. So we're working on the programming of linking that turret truck into our system, which will allow it to operate on its own completely. It's an investment, but as we all know, the reducing labor is a huge importance right now. Getting people, I don't think anybody would raise their hand and say, oh, it's easy to get people right now. It's just not. So how can we adapt? How can we get better? That's one step. The other step is bringing that material from the dock to the turret trucks, and from the turret trucks to the shipping lanes. That's a lot of wasted material handlers constantly moving around doing that. AMRs will help you do that. And they also link into the system, which Alpine is helping us coordinate that through the support team of getting all the programming done, which is the hardest part, is testing, verifying that the programming is right. And that's going to kind of help us to eliminate labor, but also streamline our processes. Believe it or not, it does go faster than you would think. So it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. So that leads to the rack management, allowing us to kind of streamline the racks, because if you don't have a person there, they're not going to hit anything. So it's on a line, it rides down a line, and it keeps it controlled and safe. We already launched our 3P&L billing implementation. Kind of what Mike alluded to earlier was our NetSuite, our ERP system. So we're able to link both those to get more streamlined invoicing and out to our customers when they want it, how they want it, which continues the relationship and to make sure that we're all on the same page.
How many people do you guys have doing that end of the month invoicing right now?
We have, in which facility?
Just across all of them. Yeah.
Probably between Memphis and just saying out of automotive, probably 30.
Yeah. So with a third party, right, you get a CSR, either a customer success manager or somebody that's responsible for the account, and then at the end of the month, you got to reconcile how many receives, puts, replenishments, value-added services, storage fees, this and that. And it's a very tedious process. So when you have a real-time warehouse management system where you can capture all your receipts, all your put-aways, all of your replenishments, all of your picks, and then you can start a value-added services project, know how many resources at the end, you can actually invoice your customer properly. So a lot of 3PLs, this is revenue leakage. They don't have the wherewithal or the details to be able to capture that and make sure that they are invoicing their customer for everything, number one. And then number two is not your organization, but another one of ours. They have 15 sites, and they've got an entire team. That's all they do at the end of the month. And so for them, putting in a real-time WMS with a 3PL billing module, the ROI is almost just in the billing itself, let alone any of the productivity in the facility.
Which is accurate. Just to wrap up, we're also working on cartonization.
We got 10 minutes. That was the 10-minute line.
Yes.
You can go back. You can go back.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm just going to talk about cartonization. So cartonization is the ability for our pickers, when we go through the picking process, how many of you guys, you pick your material, then you come back, and then you guys sit there and figure out what box you need, right? So it's wasted time. Sometimes they pick the wrong box, so now you have extra space in the box, which requires extra filling, which is a cost for your customer and a cost for you to replenish, right? The cartonization is going to allow us to pick the right box, streamline, secure the materials in the box, and use less packing materials, whether it's pillows or whatever the case may be. So that's where we're at right now.
Believe it or not, a lot of WMSs, the justification is getting away from the packing, where you go, you pick it, then you bring it to a pack station, you pack it out. Where if you have a WMS that can tell you the size of the box and you pick directly into the outbound carton, where you do a little void fill, top seal, and get it out the door, that's a lot of ROI. Matt Werner, COO of Monat, will be talking tomorrow about their implementation, and that was almost 35-40% of their ROI was getting away from all the pack stations and picking directly into the outbound carton. Very cool.
Makes a difference. Labor, materials, all that stuff, huge.
So what questions do you guys have for Shane on his journey here?
Yes, sir.
Shane, great presentation. All this technology that you're implementing, which is really great. I was at Modex last month, and the amount of robotics companies is just amazing. How are you linking all this technology? What type of network are you using? Is it just a typical Wi-Fi 6 type system, or how do you link all this technology? And then obviously with all the future solutions coming out, what's the plan?
So we are using Wi-Fi,
Yep.
and then we have API connections with our ERP system and our WMS system, along with, we have some other systems that are we're branching out a little bit to make our inventory presentation better for our customers,
Sure.
which is also another API connection. So it's going to be, we don't use EDI on this, it's more automotive, but in order to link all the communication has been API, and we have a good material handling vendor that we use that has a lot of support from the system standpoint. So between the three of us all working together, we're able to streamline whether it's an API connection or if it's something that we bounce off the Wi-Fi and utilize that. So it's a combination of the two.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about the establishment of your SOPs, how you went about it, and how you used your...
How we went wrongly about it or how we went rightly about it?
rightly about it, where you were at and what was the process involved to establish those, because that was a critical success factor here.
It was, and the first was to understand the system. We need to understand how does it work, what was its baseline of its SOPs, and then we're still streamlining, to be honest. So this last quarter, we actually made more of it, automated more of it to take it out. So the more we can take out of it, they don't have to scan or they don't have to type something into the scanner, the more efficient it is. So it was a baseline of understanding through Alpine's help of what does the system plan on doing? What's their SOP? And then how can we streamline it to meet our needs and what we wanted to do, what we're promising to deliver to the customers. So that's where it started, and then it's always continuous, right? So
I think the key is you start with what is best practice, right? Understanding what you guys are currently doing, and then what's the capability of the system, and identifying those 2 or 3 things. Are we willing to change the business process? Are we willing to do a workaround? Are we willing to do this or that to really adhere to what the system's capable of or not capable of, and make sure that we've got that. So it's a collaborative approach.
And when should you start that? When you engage the WMS vendor or part?
I think I would have liked to have had that. It was in the checklist, and I think we should have spent more time on that, because typically most people feel comfortable with SOPs and they're like, oh, okay, I see the process, I'm good, let's move on to the next. You really need to deep dive in it, and kind of more what we talked about. We didn't have that collaborative group at first, right? We had one single SME, and that wasn't enough. So we had to get more people involved. So more people involved and spend time on proving it out. Because like I said, once you surround yourself with smarter people, they have all kinds of questions that you wouldn't think of. So you need a more diverse group in there to help you understand what you're missing.
What we typically do, like we did with Matt, is the minute we got done with the design doc, we started working in parallel on the work instructions in the SOP, which was the foundation for the acceptance testing, which was the foundation for the end user training. So they all go hand in hand together, and that's normally where we engage it. And if we can, we'll even have somebody participate, either if it's a CRP, conference room pilot, or a walkthrough to show, hey, this is what you guys said, this is what we're thinking for the functional design, so that way they're there and they start putting it together.
And if you don't get through the testing, you don't make it to the support group. So you got to get out of that testing verification part. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Real specific question. Was the cartonization that you're implementing part of the WMS, or did you have to go somewhere else?
No, it's part of the WMS system. Yeah, it's another module that there's some more that we haven't started getting Alpine involved, but the cartonization is the next step. But there's quite a few modules that can enhance the WMS system to give you more services that you can offer.
Corber's done a nice job of putting a toolkit together, last mile, driver, dock door, all that
Yes.
field service stuff, and the cartonization to be used across all their WMSs now.
Correct.
Through APIs.
Sir?
Yeah, a couple questions. If your Wi-Fi goes down, is your backup cell signal?
No.
Or are you dead in the water?
No, well, we would be done if we lost power. That's why we have a backup generator to get it back up. But if we lost the Wi-Fi system, we are dead temporarily, but we do have a backup to that as well. Our director of IT is pretty over the. I can't even say it's over the top, because he wants to make sure we're covered, because we have been down in the past. To your point, dead in water, and it creates a lot of chaos.
When you say when your Wi-Fi is down, though, your WMS, is it in the cloud or on-prem?
In the cloud.
So you're talking about if you lose
Talking about scanner
overall
availability.
cloud
Yeah.
connection.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's going with
Technology
scanners.
doesn't have connectivity.
Because to your point, it does slow the process. Now we could still function in a sense of dead in the water means dead. Hey, we're using dirt floors and lanterns now. We're doing pick sheets, and we're trying to keep up, right? And then once we get that back up, then we're off to the races.
The other question I have is, was there a time frame where you had to run in parallel with your legacy system and Corber, where until you completely switched completely into Corber? How
Yes.
long was that time frame, and what
Longer.
pain points did you go through there?
Longer than we liked, because like I said about the challenges that we had, that delayed that process. We had a nice timeline of when we were going to switch and how it was going to flow based on the utopia that we thought it was going to be. But it probably, once we got Alpine involved, I would say we fully got off of the old system, because we were dual checking inventory. That was the point of keeping that other system going. I'd say 6 to 8 weeks, something
Yeah,
around
so
there.
I think the interesting part is Shane, being a 3PL, had the opportunity to only turn on a couple of customers. So when he says 6 to 8 weeks, he had 2 or 3 customers on the Corber Edge WMS, where the other ones are on paper, until this was bulletproof, and then started adding customers. Where if you are your own customer, like, you need to do what we call 3 mock go lives before you go live. Matt will talk a little bit about it tomorrow. We're in it right now. So you go through a SIT, system integration test, then you go through a UAT, user integration test, and then the 2 weekends before go live, you'll drop 1,000, 10,000 orders, whatever is the right. You'll receive it, store it, pick it, ship it, but don't ship it. Just systematically ship it, put all that inventory back, and work out any of the kinks. You do that the very next weekend, and then, okay, everybody's good. You flip the switch, you go live on Monday, and you hope you don't have to go backwards, right? But if you do, you have a contingency plan to roll it back if you need.
And as long as it all goes right, that's true. You gotta have the right partner.
Yeah.
Not to tout Michael or stroke his ego, but if you engaged Alpine 5 years ago through the whole WMS selection process, would that have been a different process for you, think? How would that have been different?
I don't know if it would have been different because to what Michael said earlier was we were deciding whether we didn't do that process right. And to their credit, they said, we do have the right product, we just didn't launch it right. And I say we because the team that we were utilizing to launch it had given us the same spiel, which is probably why he got a whole lot of questions from me when we were vetting them, is, hey, I needed you to deliver on what you say you're going to deliver, because that team did not, and it created this issue. This was our second one we done. Automotive, we launched a WMS system, a different one, and it was flawless. And we kind of followed that model, ironically, what he said. There was so many different system checks, verifications, test after test after test, and even when we thought it was going well, we had the right partner, and they're like, let's throw some kinks in it and to see when it messes up, how quickly can we recover? And those proved to be vital for our success. So, good question. Any other questions?
If not, thanks, Shane.
Thank you. Thank you all. Good luck in your WMS integrations.
Yeah, and enjoy the rest of the work conference.